NBA All-Star Weekend. We'll start taking a quick look at the Rising Stars Challenge, where Ilya Kobo from the Phoenix Suns led the way with 34 points as Team World upset Team USA. For Team USA, that was standout performance for Marvin Bagley, who had 28 points, shooting 14 of 18 from the field. Trae Young added 21 and 10 assists. Zion with 14 and 7 of 10 shooting. Two events on All-Star Saturday night. Three-point contest is where things got started. They moved the three-point line back for this. It was a little interesting to see the way things went as these shooters had to adapt to this. Steph Curry would end up going first. It did not start off well for Steph Curry, who was slow out of the gate, didn't even get to most of his money ball rack, only got one off, finished with just 12 points. Very disappointing performance for the former three-point contest champion, but not as off as Devin Booker was. Booker really struggling with his shot, trying to get something to go, and he finishes with just 6 points, only made 5 shots. So with the three-point line moved back a little bit, these guys struggling here in the competition. But someone who found their shot, Klay Thompson, missed the last couple, but 19 points in the opening round. The reigning three-point contest champion now doing it in a Laker uniform. And it was really impressive to see. And CJ McCollum from Portland put together a pretty decent round. Gets that one to fall, knocks down another, and finishes with 15 to move into second place of 4 who had gone so far in the competition. Then here is Paul George. At 14 points, he's going to sink this money ball at the end to get to 16, passes McCollum, and gets to second place. Wrapping up the first round, we had James Harden, who you just saw switch that last one, rattles another one home, finishes with 19 points to tie Klay Thompson for the lead and to advance to the second round. So looking at the scores, Thompson, Harden, and Paul George would move on, while McCollum, shockingly, Steph Curry, and Devin Booker would be eliminated. So the finals had started with Paul George looking to improve upon his previous run. Gets that one to fall, tries another one at the buzzer, can't get that one to rattle home, but finishes with 16. Another solid round for George, not typically known as a great three-point shooter, but thriving even with a deep three-point range. Klay Thompson missed 8 of his first 10 shots. Got his shot back going towards the end, but not enough as he finishes with 15. Couldn't get that money ball at the very end. So it would be between George and Harden. And James Harden just could not buy a bucket towards the very end. Tries to sink one at the end, which he does, but it's only 12 points. And that would seal the deal for Paul George. And there it is. Klay Thompson comes up oh so close, but Paul George, stunning upset as George is the three-point contest champion for 2021. And then it was time for the dunk contest. Derrick Jones Jr. of the Heat, Dennis Smith Jr. of the Charlotte Hornets, Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz, and the Thunder's Amadou Diallo battled it out for the dunk contest crown. Derrick Jones Jr. some explosive slams for the Heat this season. He tried to start this off with a bang, and he would do so in a big way with the double dunk. Hung on the rim, grabbed the ball with his opposite hand, and threw it in again. You'll see it much slower and much more zoomed in. Definitely came in with a plan to stun the judges, and we got a high score here as he gulped that ball in. And here's Dennis Smith Jr. trying to go after him, makes a pretty nice dunk, gets some airtime on the run, but did not go through his legs. Then Donovan Mitchell brought the house down. He sends out Atuan Moore to stand out there, and Mitchell clears him. Moore's only 6'1", but still he jumped over a fellow player right here. Gets a perfect jump, no contact with him, completely clears him, almost kicked his right elbow a little bit. He might have actually gotten him a little bit, but Mitchell explodes to the basket with that dunk. And Amadou Diallo with a nice bounce dunk, but trying to amp up the crowd. Not as impressive as the previous 3 dunks. Very smooth, just caught it, threw it right up. Looking at another angle, as you see, just very smooth, and it goes right in. But for the early dunk scores, he gets a 41. Derrick Jones Jr., the leader, with Donovan Mitchell just behind. Second set of dunks, it was decent from Derrick Jones Jr., but I think people were expecting a lot more after that first major slam. Nothing really that shocking there. Still a nice dunk. And Dennis Smith Jr. with an impressive jam. Throws it way ahead, twists and throws it down. Some people want a little more razzle-dazzle, but it was really nice. Mitchell looking to follow up his 43, and he does so in an explosive way. As Mitchell goes to the cup, on the bounce, sprints ahead, grabs it, goes through his legs, and throws it up over his head. So another 43 for Mitchell. Hamidou Diallo capping off things with a 41 here, hoping for a little more. And it wasn't really that different from his first dunk. Diallo drew a lot of criticism for his choices here in the slam dunk contest. Not really that flashy. And only got a 39 there. And that set up a final between Donovan Mitchell and Derrick Jones Jr. Jones Jr. had a great first dunk, disappointing second. This one in the middle, but lost his balance as he was trying to get up. Might have done a little more, but he did the little toe tap there on the little tomahawk jam. I completely forgot the rules. There was no finals in this. There was just the 3 rounds. Dennis Smith Jr. here with his third and final dunk. Not as great as the second one, but still pretty solid. And here's Donovan Mitchell trying to hang on to the lead with his final dunk. Of course, his first one really stole the show, but this was pretty good too. Had to get a running start, high bounce, very impressive. Had to get a lot of air time to get the net. Final dunk of the night, Hamidou Diallo needed to recover. He does something explosive and gets the crowd on their feet with his biggest dunk of the night. But a little too late. Really impressive on the bounce, and goes with the tomahawk windmill dunk as well. Really impressive to get that one in. But when they tallied the final scores, despite getting a 47, Donovan Mitchell edged him by just 4 points, and Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz was named the Slam Dunk Contest champion for 2021.